emerging economies running to meet up with their debt, or else they face that IMF surcharge that could be hammered on them. Well, we'll continue talking about it, and hopefully we will get it right, get it done right in a short time. There's also the issue of mergers and acquisitions, M&A. That activity across sub-Saharan Africa has made an impressive comeback in 2022. The region had about 297 M&As announced during the year on the review, a 21% increase on the prior year, although total values for deals were sharply lower, so higher number but lower value, 19.2 billion naira. Well, we know that from this finding by KPMG, South Africa is leading on the continent. Well, let's find out what they saw to place South Africa ahead of Nigeria and Egypt. And joining us for that is Ijoma Emeze Ezigbo, partner and head transaction services with KPMG West Africa. Ijoma, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Good morning, Indy. Thank you for having me.
So tell us what you looked out for and how come South Africa is stopping. What did Nigeria do wrong?
So thank you for that question, Indy. I wouldn't say what Nigeria did wrong, to be honest. But when you look at the macroeconomic headwinds, which is not specific to Africa, which is not specific to Nigeria, it's something that has been regional. Nigeria hasn't fared the best when you compare to South Africa. But the dynamics are not so different from South Africa. Nigeria is very close to the South African market. The dynamics are also similar. So the same currency issues, I heard your discussion with Maiwa, the same currency issues, the same FX issues that we're facing in Nigeria is similar to what is going on in South Africa. The economies are also very much similar. So when you look at the sectors of investments, where investments are going in, similar to South Africa, Nigeria has significant investment going into the energy and mining and natural resources, driven by investments in oil and gas and investments in mining sector. So I wouldn't say that Nigeria has done worse than South Africa. I just think that Nigeria has taken a much higher macroeconomic headwinds when it comes to especially the currency fluctuations with the naira devaluation, etc. So I'm hoping that one of the key policy measures that the current president is putting in place would help us get some sort of stability in that FX market.
And you think this is also why South Africa is going to overtake, because IMF has said by next year, South Africa will overtake Nigeria when it comes to the size of the economy. Does this feed into it?
Sure, absolutely. So you can see that there's a bit of correlation. There's a high level of correlation, first with macroeconomic activities, with the growth in the economy, and of course, also the level of investment going into any economy with respect to the growth in the economy. So when you have these significant investments going into a particular economy, you're expected to see much more higher growth in that economy than another economy where investment is shrinking. If you see the results of the report, Nigeria has taken a lot of hits with respect to the foreign direct investments coming into the economy. We've seen significant decline. We saw the significant decline post-2021 in this last 2022, the lowest been during the COVID era. So we expect that if South Africa is going to top the investment chart, with Nigeria's second to South Africa, is more likely to also translate in high economic growth. But overall, Nigeria isn't doing that. I think for us, we need to look inwards and see how we can fix our macro issues, most especially the currency issues, and hope to attract much more foreign investments into the economy to drive the productive sectors of the economy. If you look at where the investments are going in, the energy and natural resources, like I mentioned, we have a lot of investments going into financial services, TMT and consumer sectors. Those are the productive sectors of the economy, which we need to sort of fix the macro issues that we have, fix our ease of doing business, and create an enabling environment for private enterprises to thrive, because that's where the bulk of the investments coming into this economy with respect to M&As are going. They're going into the private companies. So we need to find ways to create an enabling environment for these private companies to thrive and attract the multi-level capital to enable them scale and contribute significantly to the growth of the Nigerian economy.
So I guess if the president can meet up with that promised $10 billion to clear the backlog, that will also be an attraction.
Sure, that would be a major attraction. However, one of the things that we say, and one of the things that the report has also found out, is that investors in sub-Saharan Africa, especially Nigeria, must have a long-term view. So you shouldn't have a short-term mindset or a short-term view to investments. Because obviously, I mean, this is not the first time that we're finding ourselves in this sort of cyclical macroeconomic issues and cyclical currency fluctuations. This has been the worst, at least for most of us, in our life history. However, we believe that in the long term, these short-term impacts would correct. And one of the things then we say to investors, have a long-term view. Consider the short-term movements in macroeconomic instability, volatility of the naira in your investment. But in the long term, please hold a long-term view so that you can ensure that the investment has a higher risk-adjusted returns over the long term rather than the short term.
And I hear you talk a whole lot about enabling environment, even on our sister program, Sunrise. This morning, we're talking about the ease of doing business in Nigeria. I mean, it's a program, payback and all of that. They've been on for a bit. And then recently, during the travels of President Bola Tinubu, at least we had his essay media, Mr. Jerry Ngilali, on the program, promised that the president will personally ensure that, you know, issues around bureaucracy, issues around lack of transparency, especially for foreign companies, even for the local investors. I mean, I guess if these issues are being dealt with and people can, for a certain, you talked about investors looking at investments in the country from a short-term lens, and you don't blame them because there are complaints of policy somersaults, you know, uncertainty in the process. These are some of the things that I believe has placed Nigeria where it is, and that's your report.
So one of the things that we see, one of the areas that the investors pointed out as a huge impediment to doing deals in Nigeria is around transparency. So information asymmetry, lack of transparency around financial information and other information just that will enable investors carry out the deal evaluation in form of different types of due diligence, whether it's financial or tax or commercial, transparency into the level of compliance of those businesses and really into the state of those businesses. That's one of the huge impediments. We have 40% of the survey participants say that they've attempted a deal in the last 4 years in Nigeria that didn't succeed. And this was one of the major reasons that they put forward as the reason why the deal didn't go through. So for us, one of the things that we try to do also as a KPMG, as a professional services from an advisor in this local market, is to try to improve the level of governance in private companies. So not just a transparency at the level of government, but also transparency at the level of the institutions themselves, helping companies institutionalize the businesses, improve the level of governance in the boardrooms, improve the level of financial reporting, the quality of the audit process, etc., to ensure that there is transparency in the information that is available for investors to evaluate the transactions and support the valuations that are put in on the businesses. And we believe that this will continue to drive significant investment if that information asymmetry is bridged and there's increased level of transparency amongst private companies.
All right, thank you so much, Ijoma Emezie Ezigbo, partner and head transaction services, KPMG, West Africa. We do hope that reports such as this will not just be sitting, you know, on the desk and computers. It will actually be read and practiced and make a difference. But thank you for sharing your reports with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.